My name is Ava Marie Thompson, and at 23, I never could have foreseen that my college graduation would transform into the ultimate moment of vindication. Standing shoulder to shoulder with my younger sister, Mia Grace, both of us adorned in matching, black caps and gowns, should have been a moment of unadulterated joy. Yet, years of unequal treatment and lingering resentment had built up to this pivotal day. The echo of my parents' dismissive words still haunted me. "She earned it, but you didn't." The memory of that fateful evening, when they declared, Mia the only one worthy of their investment, burned deeply. Before I unveil the moment that left my parents' faces ashen with shock at our commencement, drop a comment below with where you're tuning in from, and hit that like button if you've ever had to claw your way to success while others coasted. I grew up in a seemingly idyllic middle-class family in suburban Dayton, Ohio. Our charming two-story home, with its manicured lawn and white shutters, was framed by a picket fence that screamed perfection. Family portraits lined the walls, their forced smiles masking a tangled reality. My parents, James Edward and Laura Christine Thompson, held steady, respectable jobs. Dad as a financial analyst at a local firm, Mom as a middle school language arts teacher. We weren't wealthy, but we were comfortable enough that financial hardship wasn't supposed to shadow my future. Mia, 2 years my junior, always seemed to eclipse me in our parents' eyes. With her cascading auburn curls, impeccable grades, and effortless charisma, she embodied their ideal of success. From early childhood, the pattern was unmistakable. Mia was the golden child, and I was the overlooked shadow. Christmas mornings laid bare the disparity. Mia would tear into extravagant gifts, new tablets, designer clothes, while I unwrapped practical items like notebooks, socks, or clearance bin art supplies. "Mia needs encouragement for her talents," Mom would explain when I dared question the imbalance, her tone implying I should be grateful for scraps. At 9 years old, I recognized the unfairness, but learned to swallow my disappointment, my young heart aching for fairness. School events only deepened the divide. For Mia's debate tournaments, both parents took days off, helping craft her speeches and cheering her victories. My poetry recitals or art showcases. I was lucky if Mom popped in for 10 minutes during her lunch break. "Poetry's a nice hobby, Ava, but it won't get you far," Dad would say, his words sharp with dismissal. The only person who truly saw me was my grandmother, Clara Beatrice, a woman of quiet strength. During summer visits to her cozy countryside, cottage in rural Ohio, we'd spend hours painting landscapes by the creek. "You have a unique way of seeing the world, Ava," she'd say, her eyes warm with belief. "Don't let anyone dim your spark." Those summers became my sanctuary, a haven where my dreams could breathe. In Clara's small, book-lined study, I devoured stories of entrepreneurs and innovators who overcame towering obstacles. Their triumphs fueled my ambition to prove my worth, not just to survive my childhood, but to achieve something undeniable. High school forced me to forge resilience. I threw myself into every marketing and business club, discovering a natural aptitude for economics that surprised even my most encouraging teachers. When I won a statewide marketing competition as a freshman, my economics teacher, Ms. Elena Lopez, called my parents to share the news. "That's nice, Ava," Mom said over dinner, barely glancing up from her plate. "Did you help Mia with her speech homework? She has a big tournament tomorrow." The dismissal stung, but I pressed on, determined to carve my own path. By junior year, I was working evenings at a local bookstore, saving every penny while maintaining a flawless 4.0 GPA. Mia, meanwhile, dazzled on the speech team, with my parents attending every event, hosting lavish dinners to celebrate her trophies. In our senior year, despite our 2-year age gap, Mia had skipped a grade, placing us in the same graduating class. We both applied to Crestwood University, renowned for its elite business and law programs. The day our acceptance letters arrived was electric. "I got in," I announced at dinner, hands trembling as I clutched the thick envelope for Crestwood's business program. Dad barely looked up from his phone. Good job, Ava. Minutes later, Mia burst through the door, waving her acceptance to the law program. The room transformed. Dad leapt from his chair, Mom rushed to hug her, and dinner was abandoned for a spontaneous celebration with wine for them and sparkling juice for us. We always knew you'd shine, Mia, Mom gushed, oblivious to my identical achievement moments earlier. 2 weeks later, a rare family dinner brought the conversation that shattered me. We need to discuss college plans, Dad began, his eyes locked on Mia. We've saved for your education since you were born. Crestwood's tuition is steep, but we'll cover it so you can focus on your studies. Mia beamed, while I waited, assuming they'd saved for me too. The silence grew oppressive until I spoke. What about my tuition? Their uneasy glances chilled the air. Ava, Dad said slowly, we only have enough for one. Mia shows more academic promise. Her education will yield better returns. Mom reached for my hand, her gesture hollow. You're so independent, Ava. You can take out loans or start at community college. Their words seared into my soul. She earned it, but you didn't. The betrayal was a gut punch. Years of smaller rejections hadn't prepared me for this ultimate dismissal of my worth. That night, alone in my room, I let the tears fall, 17 years of striving for their approval crumbling. My perfect grades, competition wins, and Crestwood acceptance meant nothing. I'd never been enough. The next morning, puffy-eyed but resolute, I confronted them in the kitchen. How could you save for Mia, but not me? Mom sighed, stirring her coffee. We had to make practical choices with limited funds. I have better grades than Mia, I countered, voice breaking. I've worked part-time for 2 years while acing school. Isn't that promise? Dad folded his newspaper sharply. Mia's dedicated to academics. You're distracted by jobs and risky ideas. The conversation ended. They'd made their choice. I was less deserving, less worthy. That weekend, I drove 2 hours to Clara's cottage, pouring out my pain. She listened, her weathered hands clasping mine. My dear, she said, wiping my tears, their mistake is their tragedy. Your determination is unstoppable. Though her fixed income couldn't help financially, her unwavering belief was priceless. Promise you'll go to Crestwood anyway, she urged. Don't let their limits define you. That night, I vowed to attend Crestwood, finance my education, and graduate against all odds. I threw myself into research, scholarships, grants, work-study programs, loans. My guidance counselor, Mrs. Annika Patel, stayed late to help navigate the maze of financial aid. Your drive is exceptional, she said after my 25th scholarship application. I secured several small awards, but they fell short of Crestwood's hefty tuition. With federal and private loans co-signed by Clara, I patched together enough for my first year. While Mia moved into luxurious campus dorms funded by our parents, I found a cramped, off-campus apartment 45 minutes away with 2 roommates from a university housing board. I landed a barista job near campus and weekend shifts at a library. My parents took Mia shopping for laptops and dorm decor, throwing her a lavish send-off party. I packed my belongings in secondhand boxes, my only parental gesture a set of Mom's old towels. Move-in day starkly highlighted our divide. They drove Mia in the family SUV, her belongings neatly packed. I followed in my decade-old sedan, its engine rattling ominously. At campus, Mom called out, "Good luck, Ava. Hope it works out." Her doubt only fueled my resolve. My apartment was a shock. Peeling wallpaper, faulty plumbing, noisy neighbors. That first night, alone on a thin mattress with street sounds filtering through, doubt crept in. Could I handle 30 work hours and a full course load? Would financial strain crush me? A text from Clara steadied me. Diamonds form under pressure. You're already sparkling. I dried my tears and mapped out a grueling schedule, sacrificing sleep and socializing to protect my education. Freshman year was a whirlwind. While peers adjusted to college life, I balanced 25 weekly work hours with demanding business courses. I studied on buses, wrote essays during breaks, and reviewed lectures while cleaning coffee machines. Mia's social media flaunted sorority, parties, and weekend home visits for mom's cooking, while I calculated if I could afford both textbooks and groceries. Yet something remarkable happened. I excelled. My real-world budgeting gave me an edge in accounting and marketing classes. Professor Margaret Hayes stopped me after a presentation. "Your analysis of resource constraints shows rare insight." "Ava," she said. My struggles were becoming strengths, my exhaustion tempered by growing confidence. My roommate Sophie became my lifeline. Noticing my relentless pace, she left meals labeled for me in our shared fridge. One night, finding me drained, she handed me tea. "You'll burn out," she warned. When I shared my story, her indignation flared. "That's beyond unfair. I'm your family now." She proofread essays, made flashcards, and shielded my study time from roommates' interruptions. When she learned I skipped meals to save money, she cooked extra, refusing payment beyond help with her assignments. "Family supports each other," she said simply. "Sometimes the family we choose matters most." Sophomore year brought crisis. The coffee shop cut hours due to a seasonal slump, slashing my income by 35%. With rent and tuition looming, I panicked, but remembered Mrs. Patel's advice to seek help. At the financial aid office, Ms. Carter reviewed my case. "Your grades qualify you for an emergency grant," she said, "and Professor Hayes recommended you for a research assistant role." The position, studying startup resilience, paid better than the coffee shop and aligned with my classes. Working with Professor Hayes, I saw my own journey in the data. One afternoon, she asked, "Have you considered entrepreneurship? Your perspective on innovation under constraint is sophisticated." The seed was planted. Using skills from my digital media classes, I launched a virtual bookkeeping service for local businesses, building a website and service packages in late-night bursts. By junior year, it replaced my library job, and I kept the research role for mentorship. My business grew, serving 10 clients and employing 2 classmates part-time. I began speaking up in classes, sharing real-world insights that earned professors and peers respect. Mia and I remained cordial but distant. Her invitations to sorority events clashed with my work schedule. Our parents called her weekly, me only on holidays. My Dean's List streak, departmental awards, and a regional conference presentation went unacknowledged by them. Senior year brought momentum. My business, now a digital marketing agency, served 15 clients and employed 4 students. A regional entrepreneurship magazine featured it, boosting my reputation. Professor Hayes urged me to enter the National Student Entrepreneurship Contest. I spent weeks refining my pitch, incorporating lessons of resilience and resource optimization. Winning $40,000 and industry recognition was surreal, but my parents didn't mention it. Clara, however, called sobbing with pride. "I always knew you'd shine," she said, her voice trembling. As graduation neared, Dean Amelia Harper invited me to deliver the student address, citing my journey as an inspiration. The day before, Clara gave me a custom stole embroidered, "With diamonds form under pressure." At rehearsal, Dean Harper hinted at a surprise introduction. The family dinner that night was predictably Mia-focused, with my parents boasting of her law school plans. Uncle Tom asked about my contest win. Dad waved it off as Ava's little project. Clara later confronted them, their defensive postures, revealing her sharp rebuke. Graduation morning dawned vibrant. Mia texted, "Proud to walk with you." Our bond had deepened through late-night study sessions where I helped salvage her thesis, her first real academic struggle exposing gaps in her coasting talent. At the ceremony, I spotted my parents tracking Mia and Clara, eyes locked on me. After degrees, President Evelyn Lang called me to speak. My address wove resilience and defying underestimation, subtly addressing my parents' dismissal. Then, President Lang announced me as valedictorian with a 4.0, my business valued at 6, figures, all self-funded. The crowd murmured. My parents' faces drained. She revealed my contest win, a job offer from Pinnacle Strategies, and a Business Innovators magazine cover story. The audience erupted in a standing ovation as she announced the Ava Thompson determination, scholarship for students overcoming obstacles. Mia hugged me, whispering, "They were so wrong." My parents, shell-shocked, offered hollow congratulations. "I've always been this person," I said coolly. "You didn't see." At the business school reception, mentors, peers, and Pinnacle's CEO celebrated me. Mia, awed, said, "This is your true family." Dean Harper offered an MBA scholarship. At the family dinner, relatives grilled my parents' neglect. Mia confronted them. "You chose me over her. You were wrong." Their apologies faltered, but I felt liberated, my worth no longer tied to their approval. Weeks later, they offered a modest housing deposit. I declined. My $95,000 Pinnacle salary sufficed. My agency thrived, and I launched the first-generation success fund at Crestwood. My parents began tentative reconciliation, admitting their favoritism. I agreed to a new relationship grounded in my reality. Mia and I grew closer, hiking and reflecting. "Will you forgive them?" she asked. "I'm releasing the past's hold," I replied. "That's my forgiveness." My journey taught me my value exists beyond others' sight. Being underestimated, forged resilience, proving my worth to myself. Share your story of overcoming doubt below, and like if my rise inspired you. Your potential is boundless, no matter who overlooks it.